All set.
Good evening, everyone. We'll call this Monday, August 13, 2018, Selectmen's meeting to order. Stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Start with approval of the agenda. Any changes anybody would like to make?
Yes, I'd like to make one under new business. I'd like to add a request for a Rundle Street vendor approval.
Okay, anything else?
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? No? All those in favor? Motion carries. So at this point, we're at the public forum part. If anybody from the public would like to have a discussion on anything that is not listed on the agenda, feel free to say your piece. State your name, please.
Jake Hawkins, I'm from the Arundel Historical Society, and I'm here ostensibly filling in for Velma, because I guess we're getting a mass gathering permit tonight, but also I want to invite the Selectmen to our annual Heritage Day, September 15th. It's going to be great this year. We're going to have a Civil War living history reenactment, along with ukulele band, and lots of food, and quilters and stitchers, and it'll be a good time. It gets bigger every year, so
Beautiful.
you're more than welcome to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything else? Anyone else? Diane, we're at the public forum part, if you have anything to say, no? Good. All right, moving on, we'll go to the approval of the July 23rd and July 30th minutes.
I move approval of both as prepared.
Second? Okay, we have a motion and a second, any other discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. All right, do you have an RSU 21 financial report, or was that for Velma?
That was from Velma, and unfortunately,
Okay.
she's not here tonight.
So we'll skip that. Okay. You got some stuff for us, Keith?
Well, yeah, we're at the, no, I don't have anything under manager's report. I need to comment on the movement of funds though on the old business.
Okay. Well, we're there.
I would like to table that this evening. As you know, we've spoken about it on several occasions about our general government account being over by some money at the end of last fiscal year. You're given the ability to move funds, but as I read the warrant, it has to be a majority of the board voting in the affirmative and the entire board being here. Seeing that Velma is not here this evening, I would like to table it until the 27th. And then we can take action at that time.
Okay. Anybody from the board have any comments on that? No? Okay. New business. We got Mr. King here, Sheriff King. Would like to have a discussion with the board, apparently?
Well, yeah, we invited them. As you know, we had some comments at the annual town meeting about sheriff not being there. And so we felt that we'd give him an opportunity to be here and talk a little bit about the two sheriff deputies that we now have and fill us in on any information that we need. Thanks, Sheriff.
Yeah, thank you very much for allowing me to talk tonight. Yeah, you're right, I wasn't here last time, I must have been somewhere else. But I do have a handout, and I learned from my school teaching days not to pass it out until we're done talking, because then people start looking at it. But, I did wanna just, to have a quick comment. I'm sorry for the community members that were there that had some questions. I certainly hope that they have some questions, they'll either forward it to you or just send them to me directly, and I'll leave a couple of business cards here. I think it's going very well with the second contract deputy. I do have some statistics for you. In 2016, we had 1,237 self-initiated complaints. And what that means is that these are times that the deputy might be driving by and see something suspicious and stop it, or he may stop a speeding car or something like that, which is very important for a contract town. Because because you have somebody that's dedicated to your area, like, and I'll use this example, and I'll come back to it a little bit later on, is on Route 1, Wares, and the Ford Ford dealership over there, is they had some thefts. And when you have different people coming in, and there's no real ownership to the town of Arundel, yeah, they're gonna answer the calls, and they'll probably pull through there because we asked them to, but a contract deputy takes ownership of that. So I think that's good. 1,200 self-initiated calls, and dispatch was about the same thing. This was when you just had one. So a total around 2,475 calls per year in the town of Arundel. In 2017, when we put on the second contract deputy. Self-initiated jumped up to 3,388, almost 3 times the number of self-initiated complaints. And I really want to probably attribute that to the second contract deputy that you folks chose, is Chris Woodcock. I mean, he's an expert in DRE, which means drug recognition expert. So I've seen him in action at sobriety checkpoints. He's very, very good with traffic, and he's an outstanding investigator. Dispatch calls, they did go up 1,655, but that often happens in communities when they have a big police presence. Somebody comes by and says, oh gee, someone stole my bike or whatever. You know, I'm not gonna call because it's gonna take them forever. But when they see a heavy police presence, people are more apt to call because they feel that connection with the police department. So that totaled a little over 5,000 self-initiated complaints, more than double from what we had in 2016. In 2018, we're on track to also have around 5,000. We've got 1,533 self-initiated calls, and dispatch calls over 800. So we're on track to have, again, over 5,000 self-initiated and dispatch calls. I think it's important, and the other important thing I wanted to mention to you, it's right about even. So, you know, we have just as many self-initiated complaints in the daytime as we do in the evening, and just about the same amount of dispatch calls. So it really kind of tells me about the town of Arundel, which is that it's an equally busy. You don't have those big, those times where there's a lot of stuff going on. It just seems that it's a constant town, that there's a lot of stuff. And I would attribute that, and I'm sure that the deputy and the chief might be able to speak further, to it being a heavy traffic town. I mean, this is a town that people get to from Biddeford to Sanford. They get off the pike, you know, and they're zipping up to where they need to go. So it's really a main thoroughfare. What we also look at when we look at what the police department is doing is response times. In 2016, the average response time was a little over 18 minutes. Now, in 2017, we dropped it down to 16, and 2018, it's 15 minutes and 20 seconds. Now, I mean, we can just kind of look at that generally, but I want to caution you to ever really think, when you ever really hang your hat on response time, because our system, IMC, does not differentiate between emergency code 3 calls with the blue lights and siren. It doesn't differentiate between that and a regular call. Somebody stole my plant clock, or somebody, broke in sometime during the day. It's not an emergency. The other important thing to think about is that when the dispatchers get a call, it doesn't matter if Chris is investigating a burglary. If they get another call, a speeding car, motorist calls in, speeding car on Route 1. They're gonna give it to Chris, even though he's tied up, even though he's busy investigating a burglary, they're gonna give it, because it's my understanding, the way they do it, they can't hold on to it. They're mandated to dispatch that quickly, and it goes off, so then when Chris is gonna finish whatever he's doing, because that's the priority, that he's talking with a community member, talking with a crime victim, and yes, and when his time allows, he'll go there, so it could be a half hour before he gets to the speeding car complaint. So it's a little, I just kinda wanted to give that, that caveat when I give you those statistics. But overall, we are reducing the amount of time. I think the other thing that I just want to point out is, the daytime, contract deputy, Greg Siboney, was our deputy of the year. And that is, I find that a really, it's a great honor. And it's not that we looked at his arrest record or what he's done, is the community told us that. We had 2 community members that came in specifically to talk with me, or contacted me and said, I wanna tell you about an experience I had. One is a resident, and the other fellow was just passing through, and he summers here. So that to me is that we've got ambassadors out there, and if 2 people took the time to call the sheriff's office, I'm sure that you can do that tenfold. That's how many folks are out there. You have a second contract deputy now with Chris Woodcock. I really must tell you, I think that you guys hit a home run with both these deputies. You know, again, Chris Woodcock, we had the Arundel, we have the Wares Ford, Wares GMC, I'm sorry, the guys. And we have the Arundel Ford. And we couldn't, it was very difficult to solve these crimes. I mean, they went in there, and I learned something, that a Denali is a pickup truck that's worth around $60,000. I don't know if you folks knew that or not, but it's amazing. So I went down there for one of the thefts because it was a serious thing. It took like 10 tires. And I went down, I educated myself, I said, let's read this. And then I find out that that there's actually an organized group, you know, from here to Rhode Island, that they steal these big tires. They steal these big tires, so there's a market for them. Now, we looked on Facebook, we did our best to try to solve it, we couldn't solve it. Now, granted, you might have an organization that's working it, or you might just have some guy that just kind of bops around. And armed with that information, Deputy Woodcock was watching the area. I don't know where he parked somewhere where he was just watching, and all of a sudden he sees this pickup truck leave full of tires, when he didn't think anybody was watching. We were able to make an arrest on that. I don't know where that is in the court system, I don't think he spoke, I don't think he talked, so we don't know if it was connected to a large organized crime, but we did stop that. I think he's done a great job with Bentley's. He's gone down, he's spoken with those, with the Bentley security folks. We're not getting the calls that we used to get regarding the, you know, loud exhaust, people peeling out. We're not getting them out. If you're getting them cheap, you know, we're not getting those. The one that I'm most proud of, and it actually got, and I don't want to embarrass anybody, especially the deputy, but we had a call of a rape. A young girl reported being raped in Arundel. And Woodcock was able to go down there. And actually, and according to the detective that got the case, he said, because I went in and I told him, hey, good job. I told the detective, nice job, made an arrest, that's good job. He said, really, it wasn't me. I said, who was it then? It wasn't you. This was the deputy, Woodcock. Look at the report that he wrote. And he was able to follow up, and in all crimes, especially rapes, the first few minutes are crucial. And he was able to get in there. I don't think they had the guy identified, they knew him as a nickname. And he followed up right then on the spot. And he was able to get that, the victim's confidence in, and the rape kit, and he really worked side by side with the detective. So, you know, we were able to make an arrest very, very quickly on that. So, and I think the other cases that he's working on right now would be some car burglaries that happened. And again, this is the value of a contract deputy. He took ownership of the town, he started working with that, and he actually connected it, working with Kennebunkport Police, and Kennebunk Police, anyways, it's like a tri-town area, and an arrest is imminent. And really, I just feel like we've got somebody that's really on board watching out for, the townsfolk of Arundel. And I think it's really, I think the quality of life has improved. I don't know, I think things are good. I always leave a few things out, then afterward the chief says, "You forgot." So, did I forget anything?
Well, I just wanted to mention about Bentley's, we have received noise complaints and speeding complaints, and, Deputy Woodcock, along with his sergeant, came to me with, some suggestions, some ideas, and maybe some of you have seen it, but we put out a signboard out there on Route 1, about the noise, hoping to, educate those that are leaving Bentley's or coming into Bentley's about the noise that they create when they rev up their motorcycles. So that signboard was, his initiative. We borrowed the signboard from, New York County Emergency Management Agency, and, we left it out there, I think, for about a couple of weeks. And, so we have been monitoring, some issues around there. We did get some speeding complaints, whether it's associated with Bentley's or not, at least the noise was. And so we've addressed that. We've told Bentley's, and he's, been, talking with them many, many times that, we wanna work with you, but we need your cooperation, and that's where he's a value. He knows the head of the security, and deals with them quite often, so, I think things have been going well, in that regards, and we definitely have a good contact, with that, so. I think that's about it.
Any comments from the public? I do have a comment I'd like to make, a question. What's our coverage on, Friday nights and Saturday nights?
They have you wanna speak to the schedule? They are on 4 10-hour days, and they rotate.
Right, so if you have a deputy on in the morning, then, you could have a deputy on at night. It's depending upon how the shift rotates. They work a 4 and 3 schedule. They work 4 10-hour days, and then they have 3 days off. And then after 3 months, the schedule changes, their days off change. So, Deputy Woodcock may be on weekends, for this time period, but then there's a time period where he'll change, and then, Deputy 70 will be on days, weekends. That's how the schedule works.
So there may be times when we don't have any coverage at all on a Friday or a Saturday night.
Well, you have the general patrol. We always have people out there, typically it's.
I understand, but, I ran across an accident a few months back, and it took, I helped restrain an individual that was on a motorcycle that was half
I
out of his
remember that
mind.
call.
And it took 45 minutes to get somebody, and it actually was 10 of them to get here,
I remember.
and as I was leaving the scene, there were 2 deputies coming up, and I believe one of them was from Waterboro. I couldn't catch the other one, but it just, to me, that on a Friday night, especially when there's a lot going on at Bentley's, I would think that we ought to have a little bit more presence.
I think the other one was Sergeant Merrill. I was listening to that call. And your point is well taken, is there's gonna be times when we're not in the position that we, that we're just not in the position to respond. It certainly gives us tight stomach whenever we hear a big crash in Arundel, and our closest deputy is Waterboro, but that is what happens. Remember, a deputy is only a contract deputy really only covers about 20% of the time. And I wish, Mr. Dubois, that we had more deputies out there that were funded by the general fund. I do, but and that's something that perhaps you could talk to your commissioners about, that whenever I ask for more people, they want the towns to pay.
I don't have an issue with the sheriff's department. And I was one of the ones that commented at town meeting. And what I'd really like to see as a taxpayer is some type of consistent reporting when we go to town meeting. Because prior to this last town meeting, there had been a pretty consistent format on how the number of calls were reported to us. But then the first year, we had 2 deputies, we had no reporting. And you have to understand that we already, and some of us are pretty sensitive to the fact that we already, through our county taxes, pay for the sheriff, and through our state taxes, pay for the state police. So some of us are not really happy about paying the additional tax, still pay it, but doesn't mean we have to be happy about it. But I really would like to see that same consistent format that we were getting before followed through. And then what I'd really like to see is, I'd like to see the last year that we had 1 deputy on it, and then followed by the last year, and then the following year, and maybe keep like a 5-year running total of what's been happening. Because I think that's the only way that we as taxpayers can see where the money is going. And for those of us that monitor this, you know, and I know that speeding is a big issue, and I know that you pick up other things when people are speeding. But I would prefer to have somebody monitoring neighborhoods to make sure people aren't being burglarized than just spending most of their time doing speeding tickets, but that's me. It's not necessarily what the board reflects. But that was my issue. My issue is that we had some consistency, then we had, you know, the first year paying for 2, you know, we had nothing. That's kinda hard to swallow as somebody who pays the taxes. So, Dan, going forward, that's kinda like what I'd kinda like to see, because most of our other boards have like multiple years in the book. And even if it's not in the book, because sometimes they can't, you know, being the sheriff's department, they may not be able to get it in time to do the book, it'd be kind of incomplete. But all I wanna see is, you know, what are they doing, and I'd like to see it in consistency, because you can't take the last year that we had 1 deputy, and then the next year change the format of how you're gonna report it, because then you have no way to compare what was happening before to what's happening now. And that's only because I do numbers all day. So there has to be some kind of consistency about the reporting. And I think that for those of us that weren't happy about the fact that they weren't there and we didn't get any reporting, I think that would probably satisfy most of us. It wasn't that we don't like the sheriff's department. It's not that we have a beef with them, it's not that I don't wanna pay it. I just wanna know what I'm paying for.
Agreed, I mean, I was one that was also upset that there was nobody there at town meeting, and, you know, it was an oversight, not sure how that happened, but wanna make it darn clear that, you know, we expect you folks to be there at our town meeting, we're paying for you, you know, and it seems like the first year that we have 2 deputies, nobody's there. And again, it could've just been an oversight, but certainly would appreciate going forward that somebody is there at our town meeting and provides us with some sort of report.
Mr. Lewis, may I respond to?
Absolutely.
Because did you not like I wrote a letter, correct? And didn't I talk about the highlights? Was that in the book?
I'd have to check the town report, there's one
Okay,
here.
I thought that's what I did, and I thought it was a more readable format, but if you prefer the stats, you know, that would be fine. We
For
can
those, I don't know, for me, I do numbers. I like to see for me, the stats tells me what's happening in town.
Okay,
Okay, you know, did we have burglaries,
Yeah.
did we have this, did we have this, how many traffic stops did we do?
I,
This just kinda gives
Sure.
me an idea as to, okay, you know, are we heading this way, are we heading this way? And that's only my opinion.
Okay,
The board will make their own opinion as to how they want it done, because that's their job, but
you're the customer, and if you prefer, I thought I was doing it more readable, and I hope it got in there, but I thought it was more readable, but if you prefer the stats, we can do the stats. And can I just circle back when you said you'd rather have people monitoring neighborhoods to prevent burglaries? There's actually empirical evidence that an active traffic control problem actually cuts down on Part 1 property crimes, it cuts down on burglaries. Burglars come into an area, if they see a traffic stop, if they see people stopping traffic, they don't wanna break into those communities, because they don't wanna get stopped with the stolen goods in their car. They don't wanna get stopped and be tied to that area. So an active traffic enforcement program actually affects the Part 1 property crimes in communities.
No, and I fully understand that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, because nothing from a traffic stop from speeding tickets ever comes back to the town. So we pay for the deputies, but none of that money ever comes back. What I really don't wanna see is I don't wanna see 80% of what's happening, traffic stops, and 20% is other things that we're doing. Because then I start to feel that we're paying a lot of money for a lot of just speeding. Now, obviously, if you're picking up other stuff, and you know, that's something that maybe the selectmen can report to us more often, is if these traffic stops are picking up things other than speeding when it's happening. I think that's important for those of us in the community to know. Now, I own 2 pieces of property on 111, and I've lived here for 37 years. And I can tell you, I pick up trash in front of my place all the time. Up until 2 summers ago, I never had any issue with picking up the trash. Now I can't even let my 13-year-old pick up the trash with me anymore. Because now it's hypodermic needles and spoons. And up until 2 summers ago, and I owned over 1,000 feet between the 2 lots, 250. Over 1,000 feet of frontage on 111. And between that section, one summer I picked up 2 needles and a spoon. So the 13-year-old's not allowed to pick up any more trash on 111.
Mr. Dubois, may I also?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you make a good point. But when you said what else happens, Deputy Sivany, and I did a news release on this, because I thought it was just a great job. He stopped 1 vehicle, and I think he made 3 or 4 arrests out of it. 3 arrests out of 1 vehicle stop. 1 person was wanted for a burglary, the other person didn't, it was a habitual offender, and gave him false information, and the 3rd person also had a property crime burglary. So it really is, and I'm gonna have to really insist, I want these guys concentrating on traffic when they're in Arundel. Arundel leads the county, or leads all the towns that we cover in traffic crashes. York County, if it's not number 1, it's number 2 in fatal car crashes. So it really, this is something that I would prefer the deputies being visible and stopping these vehicles rather than hoping to catch a burglar that might go into a neighborhood. And it's just, it's our policing style.
I didn't say to take it all out. I said it has to be in the stats. In the stats, there has to be some balance between the two. Not necessarily that I wanna dictate what you do. I just want the stats to show that there's a balance.
Okay.
Anybody got anything else? Anything else from you guys?
Well, we hope that, we do provide a good service. We do apologize for not being here at the annual town meeting. We would have, but it just wasn't in the cards. So we apologize for that greatly. It would have been either the sheriff or I that could have been here, but it just didn't work out. And we do apologize for that, and we will be here next year, you can guarantee it.
I certainly appreciate the work that you folks do, I mean, there's no doubt about it, your presence is welcomed, and, I don't like to get stopped for speeding, but
Times are changing. I just like to follow up.
they won't speed, that's exactly it.
We're encountering a lot of things that, I know you've seen in the paper that the meth labs, the methamphetamine labs that have developed, we just had 2 in 1 week. We assisted the state police in Hollis, and we had 1 in Leamington. So the dynamics of our job is really changing a lot every day, and we're seeing a lot more drug activity, and everything associated with that, thefts and burglaries and so forth. So, we are a busy agency, and but by all means, the phone can be picked up, and your town manager is, he's contacted me many times on different problems, and we direct hopefully the people to where they need to go. So communications is essential, and I thank you for the opportunity tonight, and anytime.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Okay, Next on the agenda is the proposals for architectural engineering services.
Oh my.
Mr. Chairman, maybe we should take some of these other items that
Yeah, we can, 'cause we'll probably spend,
might spend some time with that.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'm okay with
Your
that.
books?
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. Let's, we'll skip that one, we'll do that one at the very end.
yeah.
Let's go to an application for a mass gathering and waiver of fee for the Arundel Historical Society.
Yes, you have the associated paperwork in front of you. Their schedule, you'll have the event on the 15th of September, I believe. In addition to all the paperwork that they provided, they're also seeking a waiver of the fee, which traditionally is something that the selectmen have performed for them.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I move to approve as requested.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
Can I get a signature on this one? Please?
There is no rain date, right? Like multiple dates?
No, like for the stuff is being built for Monday.
Did the sheriff leave you some of those packets?
You just,
There's a couple more. Did that motion also include the waiver of the fee?
Yes.
okay, an application for catering permit, two
Did
twenty
we
Downing
vote on
Road.
that? I'm sorry.
Huh?
Did we vote on that? Boy, I'm really out of it tonight. My apologies, Mr. Chairman.
We could go.
Back.
And next, we have a, application for a catering permit for a wedding and a reception that will be held on 200 Downing Road. Before you is the permit application, and all the particular details of the event, including a map.
Bruce is on something.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
A motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion on this? All those in favor? Motion carries.
I'll send that around as well.
Alright, next on the agenda, we have an application for street vendor approval.
Yes, if I may, I'll just fill in the history of this, on my return from vacation, I found the application on my desk. As I was reviewing the application, it appeared to me that, the initial performance standards for time of operation would not meet the spirit of the ordinance. So I wrote Mr. Bernier a letter and returned his $100 to him. Today, he got my letter and called me, and Mr. Bernier is here tonight, and he wanted me to put it back on. We spoke about, the time restraints that, are required through the ordinance, and, on the application, I noted my conversation with Mr. Bernier that he's agreed to the 7 PM closing of the business based on the ordinance. So, he's here to answer any questions you may have. The business will be, the application will be for Dawn's Lunch that will be operated, in Bentley's parking lot. And he's agreed to the times at this point. I believe all the other paperwork is in order. It would take some action by the board to subsequently approve, the application as resubmitted.
And open Friday from 6 to 7?
What we're gonna do right now is anything we can do right now. But we'd like to, in the future, maybe apply for some sort of a variance or something, where it is on private property. I know we read the ordinance and if you jumble those words around, you know, adjacent to, that's a tough sell, and I understand it's up to you folks to make that decision, but I would like to, in the future, near future, maybe see if we can extend the hours, some sort, to do business in conjunction with Bentley's.
We spoke about that on the phone, and as I indicated to him, because it's an ordinance, it would take, a town meeting, approval. I know we're going to have some action coming up on, road frontage issue with the, planning board, so it may be something that we can add if in fact we discuss it and you wish to see that expanded in any way.
When does Bentley's restaurant close? What time is?
I don't know, as part of his business, I'm sure that while he's operating, he's probably had it going. I think the intent was that he would like to close it at a certain time and then allow Dawn to, or Craig to continue having, food available to folks that are there
Right.
over and above, you know, the gate. What he
Can I
said.
elaborate a little on that?
Sure.
Bentley has, they review their website often, and they're getting a lot of complaints of extended wait time for food. So what they're thinking is if they can offer something, a quick meal, they get the best of both worlds. You know, so some people that are coming in off their bikes or vehicles or whatever and they're hungry, boom, they can go over to us and get something real quick. You know, you're talking a 6 to 10 minute wait, as opposed to going in, sit down restaurant and, you know, they're getting hit with, it might be an hour and 15-minute wait. So he's trying to mix it up a little bit, and if things go well, he would like us to take over the late night food so he can shut down early for his people and send them home so they don't have that major cleanup to do at a late night hour. Our van is pretty small as you know, compared to his facility inside, so we'd have a lot less cleaning to do than cleaning up his whole kitchen area.
So right now your plan is Tuesdays, you're gonna open 3 to 6, Fridays, 3 to 7, Friday 6 to 7, Saturday 12, noontime to 7, and then on Sunday noontime to 7 to 6 p.m.
With the exception of probably Friday, you know, there's no sense of opening for an hour, so
Okay.
that's why we'd like to try to
Yeah.
see if we can do something extra, you know.
Just out of curiosity, what ordinance did it fall under that said that they had to close at?
We have a
Street vendor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
street
street
vendor
vendor ordinance. Yeah, so did we
Selectmen's
found out.
June
ordinance.
12th, 1996, town meeting, you were there, Diane.
That was another part of our confusion, is that when we did walk in for a license, that a street vendor is really not what we are on private property, so that's why we're asking for
Yeah,
some sort of,
yeah, and as I
adjustment in the ordinance.
explained to you, Craig, you really have to read the whole entire
No,
ordinance.
and I did, and I understand that, but that's why I'm saying, I think we're technically not a street vendor, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I
you know,
don't envision that as that's like
And,
rapid
and I don't
waves.
think there is anything in your, you know, for an application that says,
It's the only application we have.
Right.
Yeah.
there's no other avenue to go.
Can't we be able to submit something? I don't know if I have to-
I'm not sure, we've had that discussion too, I don't know if that'd be expansion of his use,
Yeah,
because you'd have another entity that would be offering something on the same lot, so that may open up a whole different discussion, I don't think we really wanna go there at this point. It may be better to.
that would require planning board review. probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And it may be, if you folks are receptive of extending the hours of the ordinance, it may be the easiest way to resolve the problem moving forward. Because quite frankly, it is an issue, it has been an issue, on several folks that have come forward and wanted to offer something, that limited time from, at 7 PM particularly. I'm not quite sure what the intent was in '96 when they put it in there, but I'm sure there was a reason for it.
Well, if you remember correctly, when we started talking about this, I can't remember if anything was ever done about it, but there were some local businesses that were upset about this because they felt it was taken away from their business.
I see.
So, I mean, you know, this is something that we certainly wanna make sure that we, you know, our local businesses pay taxes, you know, and we don't wanna take anything away from our local folks, so.
Understood?
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's
if you,
something.
if you look at most of the businesses there though, there's, like in Saco, before Rapid Rays made their building permanent, they were open and Night Owl in Biddeford was open until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, cause they used to catch people that were off shift. And we really don't have, I mean, it's kind of a nice thing, because if somebody, even if they're just driving by and wanna get a coffee, or they don't wanna go in, they just want a coffee or grab something quick to eat, it's a nice thing to do. And, you know, I wouldn't wanna offend any of the businesses that have been in town, but I have a hard time seeing that this would compete with too many of them, because I don't think there's a lot of them that stay open very late.
We have had, we've had comments from local businesses, so, I mean, I'm for it, we just, you know, gotta make sure we do it the right way
Figure out how to do it.
and let people know about it, so.
I think the last time we looked at this, we're gonna look at the fee schedule too, aren't we?
I
In terms
think
of
so.
long-term, as opposed to somebody just doing it for a special event, that maybe those fees ought not to be the same,
Right.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, we talked about that, we
Yeah.
sent it off to the, planning board, and the planning board was working on it, and then
Oh, yeah, that's the worst.
something else
Yeah.
happened, and they sort of stepped away from it, so I can talk to Tad again about it, whether they wanna move forward with that, so we should have some conversations on it.
okay, so we've got this application in front of us, what's the board's pleasure?
I'm going to approve with the amendment that the, closing time, so it will not extend beyond 7 PM.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
So I'll chat with you again tomorrow.
Perfect. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Greg, thanks for coming down.
Yep, thank you, nice meeting you all.
Good luck.
Thanks.
All right. So let's go back to the, opening of the proposals, we all set for that? Dun, 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 dun. So this one is Goran Turgent Architects. Goran Turgent Architects. Goran, or,
Not quite sure we'll have much, bid discussion, but they'll go into the content of what they're planning on doing. I know that each one of the vendors, received the RFP plus the, drawings and the, interior design that was done by the committee. of the vendors that, responded to us, out of the five, 3 of them responded to me asking, you know, what do you want from us? So, I think they, with the quality of work that was done by the committee, I think it may contribute to some of the, questions that may come up in the bid.
So, I'm not sure how we wanna go about this here, because,
Well, again, we're opening them, Dan,
we're gonna have to
Oh,
all,
well,
we're not,
take a
yeah,
look
we're not gonna
at
be able to make a determination on this tonight.
No.
absolutely, no, the
Yeah.
committee will be
Committee will.
meeting tomorrow night,
Okay,
and we'll begin to, in earnest,
Go
go
through
through
those.
them. Yeah,
so, do you want me to hand some of these out now, or wait till tomorrow night?
and they can
And the
go to some
selectmen.
of the selectmen,
Yep.
and they can take them with them if they so desire.
Okay.
Whatever's left, I will make copies, tomorrow in the office.
Yep, hand that down to Keith, please.
Oh, you guys are gonna have some late night reading.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Now, is this just the architectural piece, is that what this is?
Yeah, architect and
More of a
engineer.
consulting architectural, as Keith said, we've got plans together with drawings and renderings already.
Okay. So we have like a plan of what you want it to look like?
And a floor plan, and obviously we want it reviewed by somebody, a professional, who will put a stamp on something for us.
So the next one is Whipple Colander Architects.
What was that name again, Ben?
Whipple,
Whipple?
Whipple Colander Architects. They're out of Portland.
Is there a single price associated with each one of these?
Well, the first one wasn't, Jack, the first one had a bunch of different prices, but, I think it's best that
Well,
we hand this all out to the group tomorrow, and we kinda go over all of the,
That's fine, I just wanted to get a sense of the range of prices tonight,
The-
not the detail.
I can give you the principles. On this one, the compensation package was in the page 48. It says the principal of Garwin Turgeon will get $140 an hour, professional 121, project manager 100, the designer 90, and non-technical would be 65 an hour. Allied Engineering is who they're cupping with to do the work. And their principal is 185. Associate senior engineer 160, commissioning administrator 135, so they have it in detail here, Jack, so we can go
Okay.
over it tomorrow night.
Well, if all five are the same, then we'll be able to compare.
yeah, I mean, I was just looking at the billing rates from this one here, from Whipple, and, you know, their managing partner, project architect is 140, and whoever partners that they have is 120 an hour.
If you look at the next page though, it's in the percentages,
Percentages.
so it's basing it on a $1.7 million building. And the first one's pretty much saying it's gonna be 2% of that cost,
Okay.
which comes to $35,000.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go through all of these in detail.
But at least you can provide the public some thoughts about the compensation
Yep.
piece.
Down.
Is that a figure you gave them? No. Did you give them that starting figure?
At least you got several anyway.
The next one is Port City Architecture. I spent some money on some of these, let me tell ya.
Dan said that one didn't have the price that we were close to.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, this one's 10% of construction costs.
10%.
Going the wrong way.
So there's $170,000.
This is Port City,
No,
No, that was,
the other one,
Whipple.
Whipple, was it 10%?
That's a huge range of.
I would guess that some of this is negotiable.
Yeah, this one, the first one, yeah. I don't know how you're gonna negotiate, 75% of the, so this has $1 million construction cost.
Always nice when somebody knows what they're looking at on the, I'm sure he's looked at a few of them in his time.
Let's see percentages, I see a breakdown of their
Yeah,
hourly.
they got hourly rates,
Yeah.
yeah.
Big book.
Hourly rates reflected on page 7.
Oh, the Whipple? Yeah. So 5% of the total design fee,
That's with Port City,
yeah.
5%?
And then a bunch of additional.
Oak Point Associates.
Seven, 8%.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I should have been an engineer.
There's a lot of things we should have been.
Yeah, you're gonna fail.
Like the typist makes more than me. Typist makes $65 an hour.
I should have been a plumber.
Okay, last one.
What's going on? I think we got that.
Lasso Architects.
Sorry, Dan, one more time.
Lasso, Lassel.
This one had a lot of, Oak Point had a lot of additional costs.
And the rates are pretty close. It's on around 6 to 7% of the total construction cost. It says traditionally programming site analysis is schematic design would be roughly 20 to 30% of the overall fee. given the amount of work your building committee has already done, we anticipate the fee for phases 1 to 3 being less than that. That's good. $210 an hour.
So they have a total budget of $45,000.
And
It seemed like one of them was like, I think looking to get rich off the town of Arundel.
it'd be key to look at, the projects that they've done before. Alright. Well, we got plenty to read before tomorrow night. Anybody got any, comments, questions, concerns on any of this?
I'll have to dig into it.
I had to be in by today, I take it.
Friday at 2 o'clock.
Last week.
You have your sleeping material, gentlemen.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Alright. We got accounts payable.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. All those in favor? Carries.
I had, I don't know why that got, that executive session was there, we don't need one.
Okay, I was gonna ask about that. but-
Sorry about that, that was from your last meeting.
Yep. Anybody got anything else?
I got a phone call from a resident complaining about Dutch Elm Golf Course and the tee off on the first tee, where they drive golf balls towards oncoming traffic. Wanted to know if we could do anything about it. Said I'd bring it up and discuss it, but I said I don't know what the selectmen are gonna do about.
I mean, they have insurance. I've seen it happen. Where somebody
How
has
long
come
is
in
that
with,
circumstance gonna play?
Huh?
How long is that circumstance gonna play like that?
Oh, boy.
Oh my god.
I've
Was
seen,
there
I've
before
seen a
I
car
moved
get
out.
hit.
Yeah, it's been there forever.
Yeah.
I've been
You
there
have seen it?
37
Oh, yeah.
years.
I've seen a car get hit, I've seen 2 cars get hit when I used to golf there a lot. And they pull right in and Norm was there at the time and, take all the information and, but, yeah, that's
I usually try to, because I'm a great golfer, I usually try to wait for them to go by before I tee off.
oh yeah, me too.
I would think most golfers try to do that.
Oh, you'd be surprised though. I've been by there sometimes in the afternoon, and it's almost like it's something they're trying to do.
I know they've done a good job of leaving a lot of those big trees up the
Yeah.
road,
They
but
did,
I don't know how you'd ever
but it's golf.
control it, I don't know.
The balls sometimes have a mind of its own.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's, I don't think there's any that we can.
I just told them I'd bring
If
it
it
up.
can find a hazard, it will.
We won't go there. If it's water, I'm in it. Or
Right,
in the
Bob?
tee box.
You see anybody on the tee, wait, if not, step on it, get stopped for speeding.
Oh, gee, yeah, because he has been waiting at the end of that, he has been waiting at the end of Dutch Elm before. I pulled out of
Yeah,
Limerick, he's been sitting at the end of Dutch Elm.
yeah. Okay, anybody got anything else?
No, it caused enough trouble for him.
Jason, you're up?
motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn at 8 o'clock, do I hear a second?
Second,
At the second, all those in favor,
maybe we're gonna stay in session and read all the
8 P M.